The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 14 NFL Injury Report and updated rankings. If you want the updated rankings, hit the description of this video and or podcast or the comment section on YouTube. Everything will be updated up to 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. Plus, you can get a full ranking and injury recap on Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, DK Live app, DraftKings YouTube channel, my Periscope, my Facebook, or my Twitter, all at the PME. If you want to check that out, myself, Cust, Garion, answering your questions, going over all the updated spreads and games, everything like that, please be there. If you want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, you got two ways to do that this week. Smash the like button, leave your DK handle in the description of this show, and tell me which player, doesn't matter what position, will score the most DraftKings points in Week 14. Or you can go to the audio feed, leave a 5-star review, say something nice about the show, leave your DK handle, and boom. You're in a draw for 20 DK dollars as well. Winners will be announced on Monday's live show, 10 a.m. Eastern Time with Chris Meany, recapping the week, going over all the waiver pickups for anyone that is still alive in the fantasy playoffs. So I'll see you there. Same places you can watch the Sunday show. All right, let's get into this. We'll start with Indianapolis, and T.Y. Hilton is actually a game-time decision. It was reported early on Friday that he would be fine, and then he would be a full go. Then it came out later on in the day that maybe he won't play. I actually think that he will play. I still like him. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to see whether he plays or not, but we'll know that by 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. So if he's a go, just fire him up. I love him on DraftKings this week. If he plays, he constantly lights up the Texans, and he constantly lights up games that are indoors, and boom. He has the amalgamation of both those things this week. Dontrell Inman was dealing with a shoulder injury. He's also a game-time decision in this matchup, so keep an eye on that. That would just funnel more targets towards T.Y. and Eric Ebron, who was lifted from the injury report. You can even play a triple stack on DK Luck, Hilton, and Ebron. Bring it back with DeAndre Hopkins, and you're looking good to go. Because on the Texans side of the ball, Keke Coutee with his hamstring problem will probably be a game-time decision as well. DeAndre Hopkins was taken off of the injury report. I like Keke over DT if he plays. If not, you could potentially use Demaryius Thomas or just say, screw it, he ain't no good, don't use him. That's a pretty viable option as well. In Kansas City, Sammy Watkins is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a foot injury. They signed Kelvin Benjamin because, hey, you need more tight ends, I suppose, or potentially a fullback to block for people. The Candyman. Sure, Kendrick West was signed as well. These are just more pieces to take away from the hopefully concentrated market share that we'd hope for in terms of Kelsey, Hill, Spencer Ware with Mahomes. Chris Conley would be the only other one that I would play, and that would be a last-ditch effort. I don't think that Kelvin Benjamin takes away from him at all, and Kelvin Benjamin still has to pass like Demetrius Harris and DeAnthony Thomas on the depth chart in order to see targets. He is not worth picking up in any sort of format. We don't even know if he's going to play this week or not, so just don't even be bothered with it at this point of the season. Tennessee, from the Thursday night game, Jonnu Smith is out for the year. Anthony Ferkster should probably start at tight end. You probably don't want anything to do with that, though. Tampa Bay, Deshaun Jackson has been ruled out for the week. Whenever that happens, you play Chris Godwin. In your season-long leagues, he has been tremendous whenever Deshaun Jackson has not played. Obviously, Adam Humphrey still a very viable play along with Mike Evans. I don't love this game from a shootout perspective. Bit of wind, bit of rain. So you got weather concerns here. The Saints defense has been surprisingly good, and Jameis is due for a meltdown here at any point. And the Saints defense has been getting to the quarterback 13 sacks over the past 2 weeks, and maybe Jameis won't be able to stay upright or force some throws that maybe he shouldn't. Saints D, great play this week if you're looking for anything on DraftKings. Sub 5% owned, only $2,700. Fire that up, especially with Jameis coming at you with 40-plus pass attempts here. But for season-long purposes, you start all the Tampa guys because who else are you going to start? It is a good spot for volume. On DraftKings, Godwin is projected to be the highest owned wide receiver this week. Decent fade spot if you have to do it. In with the Los Angeles Chargers, Melvin Gordon has been ruled out. The split will come down between Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson. People are really hyped about Justin Jackson. I still think that Austin Eckler is probably the superior play in PPR formats and standard. It would be Justin Jackson. They're gigantic favorites in this game. It's an unenviable situation because we don't know what's going to happen. It's hard to put a lot of faith into anyone. You can see that they're both ranked inside the top 30 at running back, but I couldn't elevate one above another really with any sort of confidence because I don't know how this is going to break down. It's probably going to be a 50-50 split. You'll see more of an expansion expansion of the Eckler rule from when Melvin Gordon plays, so somewhere between like 40 and 50% of the snaps, a lot of receiving game work. If Justin Jackson can integrate himself into the passing game, then it's a wholly different situation, but I just don't know if that's going to happen. I would say that it's unlikely. Other people feel very strongly about Justin Jackson or firing him up this week, and maybe they're right and I'm wrong. I'm known to be wrong a lot of the time, like 98% of the time I'm wrong. But for this one, I just have a bad feel about it, so I'm going to try to stay away in that situation. With Detroit, no Kerryon Johnson. I really like LeGarrette Blount in a close game against a bad run defense, especially on DraftKings. Everyone's going to Jeff Wilson and Jalen Samuels and Justin Jackson. LeGarrette Blount right around the same price point. No one's going to use him. Yes, he does not get involved in the passing game. Detroit are favorites even on the road against a bad run D. Plus, he is the only one of all those guys that we know for certain is going to get all the goal line work. If you're looking for multi-touchdown games and 20-plus touches, I mean, it's going to be carries, not receptions, but still, he's going to get 20 or more of them. LeGarrette Blount, very sneaky play this week, I think at least. No Matt Breida in San Francisco either. Fire up some Jeff Wilson. Not the most confidence in Jeff Wilson, but it is a great spot against the Denver Broncos. Atlanta is in Green Bay. Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones both look like they're going to play. Julio for sure. Calvin Ridley is dealing with two separate arm injuries right now, hand and elbow. That is somewhat worrisome. I would not roll him out. He's been horribly inconsistent all year. If you're already down, let's say you play Derrick Henry on Thursday night and you're down by 50 points already, or you're a massive underdog, then yeah, I get the Calvin Ridley play because he has that boom potential that you're looking for. But if it's a close matchup and you need some consistency, stay far away from Calvin Ridley because he's injured and doesn't provide any sort of consistency. There is no floor with Calvin Ridley, at least so far this season. In Carolina, I so rarely talk about kickers, but I should throw this out here. It doesn't look like Graham Gano is going to play. So if you're using him, you can just pick up Chandler Catanzaro, that old Chiefs kicker they picked up, or just find someone else to play, preferably indoors at this time of the year. Someone kicking in a dome just usually outweighs even a decent high-scoring game. You pick up the Texans kicker, pick up the Colts kicker. Actually, they're probably owned. You can find someone to go pick up in a better weather situation that's not in Cleveland and someone who's actually kicked already this year if you're looking for that. Cam is off the injury report, but I'm still not 100% sold that his shoulder is where it needs to be to make downfield passes, which could see a very concentrated offense within 20 yards of the line of scrimmage, which is a big boost to Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Curtis Samuel, potentially Ian Thomas, but frankly, I'm not big on Ian Thomas. He did nothing while Greg Olsen was out earlier this year, so I don't see why that would really change now. Cincinnati, Joe Mixon's dealing with a foot injury. He's probably good to go. Obviously, Jeff Driscoll starting at quarterback for the Bengals, 14-point dog, should get a lot of volume, but frankly, don't like the matchup all that much. No A.J. Green this week either. I like John Ross more than I like Cody Core, but frankly, Uzma and especially Tyler Boyd, along with Mixon, are the only Bengals you can consider starting in Week 14 in your fantasy playoffs. Evan Ingram will return for the New York Giants at Washington, but his snaps were decreasing even before the injury. They like to go jumbo, max protect Eli. That's been working for the Giants over the past month, so even if you have Evan Ingram, you can drop him, find someone better. Uzma is a better option than Evan Ingram at this point. Chicago, Mitch Trubisky will play in the Sunday Nighter. He's been cleared to go, so you can... It's a great matchup. Even though Talib is back, that might shut down Allen Robinson, but the Bears' offense is far superior with Mitch Trubisky than Chase Daniel, as we've seen the past 2 weeks. You can play Trubisky as a top 10 option this week. The legs alone elevate him above a lot of other quarterbacks this week. In Dallas, Cole Beasley will return with a foot injury, at least he is expected to, and Michael Gallup, dealing with an illness, missed practice on Friday. There shouldn't be any concerns about him missing the game on Sunday. He'll try to play through it. I've downgraded him a little bit in the rankings, but he's still a viable alternative against a bad secondary, especially on DraftKings to a very cheap price for a home run play. Obviously, he could do nothing, but just keep an eye on him. I would expect him to play, but, stranger things have happened, put it that way. Ryan Switzer for Pittsburgh will get a revenge situation against the Oakland Raiders. It looks like, at least with his concussion, he should be active against the Oakland Raiders. On the Oakland side of the ball, they've placed Martavis Bryant on injured reserve. Doug Martin is dealing with an injury. He may or may not go. More likely to play than not play. If he is out, I would love Rocket Richard this week, and maybe C.J. Anderson would get into the mix at that point. I wouldn't expect him to do anything, though. But as 10-point dogs, that is a Rocket Richard game if there ever was one. And Seth Roberts has yet to pass concussion protocol as of Friday. He still have Saturday to it's not that you're going to play Seth Roberts, but he would actually open up more targets for the Jordy Nelsons, the Jared Cooks, and my main man, Marcel 8-Man of the world, would he to sit in this game. But he'll probably end up playing and pass it on Sunday. If not, don't even worry about him. In the Monday nighter, they'll have Saturday to get an updated injury report on this game. But Steph Diggs is still dealing with that knee injury. Clearly wasn't 100% last week. We'll see how he does this week in Seattle. But he's never really been that great of a performer anytime he's appeared on an injury report. So just be careful. Be pensive with Stephen Diggs. It's hard to sit him because it's so late in the season and his upside is so large. But it's not a great matchup, and he's dealing with an injury. On the other side of the ball, Chris Carson has a dislocated finger. He is expected to play, however. Expect him just to be around 50% of the snap share. Rashad Penny will eat into his workload a little bit, as will Mike Davis, but he would be the one Seattle Seahawks running back that I would want to play in Week 14. With my season on the line, I got to do it in some spots, so I'll recommend that you do too. And on the defensive side of the ball, Xavier Howard is out for the Miami Dolphins. Great news for Josh Gordon in that matchup, and Denzel Ward is out for the Cleveland Browns. I don't necessarily know who he would have shadowed on Carolina. I'm guessing it was Funchess, maybe DJ Moore, but you don't have to worry about that anymore. He will not play in Week 14. Again, hit the description and comment section for the updated rankings, updated DraftKings cheat sheet, and all the shows throughout the week. And remember to subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Smash the like button on your way out, too. That will do it for me in Week 14. I'll be back Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Be there, all right? Good luck in your fantasy playoffs. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!